Hello, my darling. Welcome to the School of Love and to the incredible Queen of Love retreat. Today, we're going to talk about legendary queens of the past and the future. And you will understand why I am inviting you onto this incredible journey of connecting, healing, and activating your own archetype of the Queen of Love and the Queen of Abundance.
I bet you made me the happiest girl in the world.
I don't know what you do, honey, unless you use Novocaine in your lipstick.
Daddy. Daddy.
Huh?
May I tell Dorothy?
If you wish.
Dorothy.
Hmm?
Mr. Esmond and I are going to be married.
To each other?
Of course to each other. Who else to?
Well, I don't know about you. Guess I always sort of figured Lorelei would end up with the Secretary of the Treasury.
Dorothy, guess what? On Saturday, we're sailing on the Isle de Paris.
Ile de Paris.
We're going to be married in Europe.
Well, why not get married in America and then go to Europe?
Well,
Or is that the old-fashioned way?
well, we've made our plans.
Come in.
Mr. Esmond, long distance call. Oh dear. From Dayton, Ohio. Well, thank you very much. I'll be right there. It must be father. Oh, I hope nothing's happened. I'll meet you at my table, dear.
Father. Never misses Gus's old man. Right on cue. Too bad, honey.
Nothing's going wrong this time.
Lorelei, the old boy is not about to let you commit matrimony with his son. I think he'd rather shove him down an elevator shaft.
Dorothy, I'm sailing on Saturday with or without Mr. Esmond. And I'm not coming back from Europe until he comes and gets me. When we're in France, where his father can't phone him twice a day, well,
Gus will never let you go alone.
sometimes Mr. Esmond finds it very difficult to say no to me.
Well, that's very possible.
Let us take a look at Cleopatra and Princess Diana. I wanted to compare two legendary women from the past and from the last century, this century actually. So Queen Cleopatra had the fate of a woman that was rejected from her family and abandoned into the outside of the palace world. She was supposed to perish and or become a beggar girl. Instead, she went to one of the most powerful sexual educators in her country. This woman was the lover for the king, for the pharaoh. So she was fully trained and she had her own school where she was training the women of pleasure for the high and mighty. And so Cleopatra went to her being a 16-year-old expelled from her family woman. And she said, I want to conquer the man who conquered the world, Caesar. And is this possible? Because she knew that Caesar was coming to Egypt. So the Getera of the time, she laughed and she said, oh, darling, those are the easiest ones. And she taught her the secrets. One day I will teach you her secrets as well, because I figured them out. So let's continue. So Cleopatra learns it as a young girl, and she presents herself to Caesar in a very powerful, creative, and manipulative way, being rolled out of a carpet to present for him this beautiful force of nature, this young, wild, powerful girl full of ambitions, full of fire, full of desire to become a queen who she herself throned and crowned already in her mind. It's not her family that throned and crowned her. She was not the chosen one. She was the rejected one. She studied and learned and activated in her the archetype of the lover queen. And she allowed that part to lead her into the queenhood. And I thought that was quite fascinating, how women who connect to their sexuality and activate that force of nature in them and are able to rise it up, not to stay the level of prostitutes, the girls that have been used and abused in nowadays in the industry, only on a lower frequency, only on the lower chakras. But she was able to raise it up and make her dreams come true and conquer the world for at least that period of time where she was allowed to do. So, learning the power of the sexuality, she conquers Caesar first in bed, and then she conquers his mind, and then she conquers his heart. The fuller game, how she was playing, I share with you in the Goddess Retreat that is going to be a part of the Queen Retreat. So those of you that are watching this video because you already purchased the Queen Retreat and you're part of our Queen's Club, you will find that out later. But then she died. Why did she die so early? Why did the career of this incredible star, the woman who became a legend for centuries, rise up so bright and then ended so quickly? Because she stayed in the state of the Caesar's whore. She could never move into the level of the wife. She did become the sexual goddess, made her the goddess in his heart. He treated her as the goddess. And so when he arrived in Rome, he created in the museum her bust, her statue as the goddess. But because Caesar was a married man to a powerful woman, he already had a queen at home, and she had a family to defend her. The Romans did not accept the Egyptian whore. They did not want to make her the deity in Rome. And so when Cleopatra had the child, the son of Caesar, and she basically forced herself uninvitedly into Rome with her own son, she wanted to conquer the Rome as she conquered Egypt, as she conquered Caesar. She now wanted to conquer another country where the culture and the magic of which she did not know. And so that inner fire in her led her, that the spirit of conqueror turned her into a masculine path. And she died because of that. Because a woman, a queen, when she stands on the path of masculinity, of conquering the world, stands on the path of making another woman unhappy, meaning stealing from a wife, her husband. Sooner or later, the karma kicks in, the law of cause and effect, because a true goddess and a true queen would never damage, hurt, injure, manipulate, affect the fate of another goddess. But when a woman is treating another woman as less than a goddess, as less as another powerful divine queen who deserves her happiness, who deserves her family, when she violates those codes of morality because of her insecurities and needs to self-aggrandize herself, to become better than she possibly can rise, go beyond her level of her possibilities, when she wants to use a man to serve her needs of going higher than she has the capacity for naturally, she's entering the level of death. And so that brought death to her man, and that brought death to her.
You stand before the throne of Egypt. I know where I am! You will state your purpose!
Matters I have no intention of discussing publicly.
I do not grant private audiences to unidentified persons.
I am Marcus Antonius.
I know who you are. What are you at the moment?
Envoy of Rome, proconsul of all the Roman Empire to the east of Italy.
An impressive title.
Worthy, perhaps, of a private audience.
Without a treaty of alliance with Egypt, you could not hold the territories under your command. True?
Possibly.
Then, Lord Antony, you come before me as a suppliant.
If you choose to regard me as such.
I do. You will therefore assume the position of a suppliant before this throne. You will kneel.
I will what?
On your knees.
You dare ask the proconsul of the Roman Empire?
I asked it of Julius Caesar. I demand it of you. Now, you may have the treaty you asked for on the following conditions. By your authority as proconsul of Rome, you will cede to Egypt immediately the following territories: Judea, Jordan, Armenia, Phoenicia, the provinces of Sinai and Arabia, the islands of Cyprus and Crete.
You ask for 1/3 of the Roman Empire.
Put it another way. I give to you 2/3.
Most generous. I cannot accept.
I suggest you deliberate further. Perhaps consult with your superior in Rome.
My superior?
Octavian. Caesar Octavian. You have not been dismissed. You are now dismissed.
If you haven't watched the Cleopatra movie with Elizabeth Taylor, please watch that. It's gorgeous. So I'm not going to tell you the details. You can learn more about that. But I wanted to show you the cause and effect and the step-by-step of sexual power and the code of morality, the code of queen, the true queen, the way I understand it. And I want to teach this, into the modern world. So now let's take a look at Queen Diana, Queen D. It's a different story. She is from nobility. She's a sweet, beautiful little girl, innocent and wonderful, and not trained and not activated in her sexual goddess. So she is sold or presented or given a fate of being the wife of the king. And because she never connected to her true sexuality. She married as a little girl. She was the princess. She was beautiful, she was sweet, she was innocent, charming. So she became the queen of the people. People embraced her. Her beauty, her youth, her innocence, her incredible heart, her servitude to her people. But the king did not accept her. The king did not fall in love with her because his heart already was given to another woman. He already had a queen of heart. He could not marry her in public, but he was married to her in his heart. So, in any ways, when a woman is entering into a couple space, it's deadly, number one. And the number two, if Queen Diana also opened up the sexual goddess archetype in her, perhaps she would have won his heart in bed as well and would have become a true queen and graduated into the womanhood. Instead, she died as the Princess Diana. So I want to look behind the people. You know, I love all the women in their journeys and so forth. We're all on this evolutionary path. I'm using them as role models for you to take a look and think about the laws of cause and effect as on your womanly path, what you learn, what you apply, what tools you have in building the relationship. You know, this is what will be reflected in your success as a woman, in your marriage, in your relationship. So let us take a look at two other women. So in this couple, right, Diana and Cleopatra, Cleopatra had a really powerful earth. That's why she owned Egypt. She took the land back and she became the queen of her land. And she was really high fire. So incredible sexuality, incredible charisma, absolutely fearless. And she united with Caesar's mission in life. She connected to his spirit of conqueror, and she also became that. So they were together riding on the golden dragon of her sexuality and his power as a man. So they became a power couple, but you know, the fate was such is that she wanted to become also the queen in Rome, and she wanted to basically disrespect the wife of the man, and that did not work out. They came to belittle her. The Romans came to punish her for such arrogance and disrespect for their women, for their culture. And so, to avoid a death of being dragged out on the street, she chose a poison and died with dignity. With Diana, you know, she eventually had enough dignity to divorce because as a woman of nowadays, you know, there is more freedom for women not to continue to suffer in a loveless marriage. And she wanted the peace of success in happiness, in love. But her journey ended up early as well. So now let's take, so why? Why is Diana's fate ended up so in such a tragic way is because her earth was weak and her fire was weak and she never fully connected and opened up. Her potentiality perhaps was high, but her ability to really open up as a woman never happened. How I know that? Because I understand how these things work as I was evolving myself as a woman. And when I watch her videos, my love is tender for her. But I see that shy little girl, her body language, she never really fully grew up and matured into the womanhood. She stayed a princess. That's my read on her. Maybe you disagree. Please write it in the comments. What do you think about these two queens? The next couple I want to take a look at is Marilyn Monroe and Jackie Kennedy. Here we too have the queen of love, the lover, the sexual goddess, and the queen of a wife and the mother. And two very incredibly powerful, very successful women. They became actually legends in America and they're world known, each iconic in her own ways. And I love Marilyn Monroe dresses. As you can see, all of my dresses are from silk and flowing. And it's like I found this boutique and I bought these dresses for 2 to 3 in every color. Because when I was activating and leaving and elevating my sexual goddess, I really adored watching Marilyn Monroe. So Marilyn Monroe represents the qualities of the airy water. She's the most enchanting and lovable and exciting, like little girl archetype that is a siren at the same time. So that just floored men. That most men that are potent and powerful in the financial world, they have high earth and high fire. And so when you give them the opposite, the high air and the high water, that creates the power of 4 elements, and that creates magic. And so she was the most desirable woman of her times, and I think still now men are still enchanted by her art. However, behind that art of the sexual siren, there was a troubled little girl, Norma Jean, who was not fully healed. And so Marilyn Monroe was an archetype that Norma Jean worked super hard to create. She learned how to walk, she learned how to talk, how to smile, how to make her makeup. She created Marilyn Monroe. But she wanted to get married, and she was married a few times, and every marriage ended up quite unsuccessfully because in marriage, the man who was marrying Marilyn Monroe was sleeping with Norma Jean. And Norma Jean was a scared, abandoned, rejected little girl who was not healed. And she needed to heal that part of her. So she was using men as her healers, and men are not healers. So that ended up in tragic. And again, she tried to destroy the marriage of another woman. And when she sang her song with the playing with the microphone, in a semi-naked dress, showing to the whole world that she has an intimate relationship with the president, she was punished and taken out from the scene of life because she made a challenge to Jackie Kennedy that she's going to be now the wife because she was the lover. But the difference of the fate of the queen lover, when she doesn't heal that inner girl inside of her and doesn't come to the goddess of love, to the queen of love, always ends up early. These women don't even live until they're 40. They end up in their mid-30s usually, just before the bloom is over. Because the sexual goddess is only riding on her sex appeal and her sexuality. But after 35, the hormones start to go down, and that is not enough to sustain a relationship. But that's a different subject that I teach in the Sexual Goddess Retreat. Now let's take a look at Jackie Kennedy. She was the wife archetype, a powerful woman from a high class society that had an incredible style and became the icon of feminine elegance and style. And she embraced the mission in life for her husband, who the modern presidents are the kings and the queens of, in the modern times. And so she led her queenhood, her womanhood with such dignity and power, and she won because Jackie Kennedy was a woman. She was not a little girl. She was not a little princess. She was not looking for a little prince. She married a king, and she stayed with dignity. She didn't fight with Marilyn Monroe publicly. She didn't divorce. She didn't play into the hurt little girl, you betrayed me. Da, 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 da. She stayed a queen in her own right and power, and dealt with all the issues and with all the challenges with such dignity that, as I said, they eliminated the lover and allowed Jackie Kennedy and Mr. Kennedy to stay as a couple. But yet his life ended up tragically because he was the one who betrayed his iconic wife, the woman who truly loved him and supported him. And that was not, there is a karma that was not allowed in any ways. Jasmine, the scent of the Queen of Night. So now that we looked at these two couples, again, remember I'm using them as role models, and I don't have the time to go in depth with all their greatness and their journeys, but I have been studying the fate of the greatest women, and there is a few more that I want to share with you. Hopefully we have time for this video. But first, I want to complete these two couples of women, lover wife archetypes, and I want to bring the number 5 role model, Sophia Loren. This woman had her earth, fire, water, and air balanced, and so she became a legendary queen of our century, of last century and of this century. She's in her 80s, and she still um, gathers, I think that's the right word, like thousands of people. The stadiums come to just look at an 80-year-old Sophia Loren. Why? What is her phenomenon? Because this woman was fully activated as a sexual goddess on screen, and women and men were watching, mesmerized in her juiciness, in her sexual confidence, power, that energy that was just emanating and just pouring out of her. She was a fountain of sexuality, sensuality, and a woman that is not good and is not bad. She was the wild, true woman, force of nature archetype on screen. But in real life, she became a wife, and she built a legendary love affair with her husband, who was also her producer, and she did bear children, so she did become also a mother archetype. And at the end of her life, so she never had stories about cheating on her husband, who was older than her. There are no stories that he was cheating on her. She was able to create a love affair in her marriage and raise her sons in a way that, you can see when they're next to their 80-year-old mother. You can see the love, the respect, the honor that they're feeling for this legendary woman. And when you look at her, I mean, she's in her 80s, and her posture, her demeanor, her facial expressions, like you can see this woman has lived her life with true love, true acceptance, and true expression. She has lived her life, not somebody else's life, her life to the fullest. The good, the bad, the pretty, the ugly, the real. So I just wanted to bring her to, if you only watched the half of this video, I want you to kind of like bring it up to a certain conclusion that there are women, and it's the power of the four elements that creates a woman that can be an incredible lover and an incredible wife, an incredible mother. So now I want to take a pause, and before I move on to the other queens as role models, I want to share with you about our queen retreat and where I am inviting you, and if you purchased it, how this works. So first I recorded the sexual goddess retreat because this sacred knowledge I was only sharing when I was working individually with people live here in Bali and in Thailand. And my observation was that women could not remember all these rituals and exercises and all this knowledge because, first and foremost, the little girl needs to be healed. All these triggers, I'm sure that when you're watching my videos, some things they resonate with you. Some things you get triggered by. You want to argue perhaps with me. But deep inside, and some things deep inside, you know there it's calling to your heart and soul as maybe this is truth. I have a personal trainer right now in Bali. She's also my age. She's 55, has incredible body. So she's my inspiration, helping me to build my body back to the best shape ever. And she said an interesting thing. She said she watched the first 4 videos and it was going 50-50 for her. She was feeling some things were yes and resonant, and some things she was like, oh, I was triggered. And I was like, no, I don't agree with you. I don't want to hear that. And she was feeling that disturbance in her. But she kept watching. And I'm inviting you, if you're watching this video, is the first video, please do know everything I do systematically. There's a system, and I build a step by step upon each other. So if you are on our YouTube channel, please go to the playlist online retreats and watch from video number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So that's why I'm numbering them for you to know. It's like a course in my school. I am building, I'm introducing you to us, I'm sharing you my journey. Everything I'm doing is like a slow unfolding and evolving on the path of feminine evolution. So back to this incredible lady, and she said when she reached the video number 4, which is a number 1 in the Queen, part 1 in the Queen series retreat, she's like, I took a day off and I listened to it all day long. I would just play it over and over, put it on pause, think about it, write down, work on it. She was like going this internal fight inside of her into from a victimhood into the queenhood. And she's like, towards the end of the day, I realized that I finally get it. I went back and I watched from the beginning your videos, and now everything made sense. I was like, oh wow, what a powerful. She's already going through the retreat, and this is just for free. And she's like, it's my dream to buy this retreat and work with you on this deeper because I am committed to becoming a queen in my life. So when you're purchasing the Queen Retreat only this year, before the end of October, you are, because it's my birthday and it's my celebration of my Queen archetype that has been born this year and fully activated this year. I've been working on it for a few years, been trying to launch this retreat for a few years, but I was constantly stopped by my higher self and forced to go deeper and work and open up and clean up and heal deeper layers inside of me to really connect to that core wound of the rejected one. Because we have these 5 soul wounds that I've shared in the previous videos, and my core soul wound is the rejected one. Just as all the legendary queens that I'm looking into, they all had a fate of in some way or sort of being rejected, because that's the wound of mankind, and every woman has to heal that inside of her to fully activate the Queen of Love archetype that I haven't found in history. And I feel that I am making the history. I am becoming the role model for myself and for the new generation, for our modern generation, for women, that can combine the sexual goddess with the dignity, freedom, and self-love of the modern woman, that can allow for that. In the past, women even didn't have the choice. It was so hard before. The path of feminine evolution and revolution, it's incredible. But when you enter this retreat space this year, you basically get 2 retreats for the price of 1. You're receiving the sexual goddess practices that is recorded. As soon as you buy it, you can start already practicing. We actually welcome to the first 3 people that already, as soon as I send the invitational email in our school, immediately that first day, 3 people have purchased it. So welcome. You are the first 3 powerful girls. So you can start watching and practicing these sexual goddess practices. And in November, I'm going to lead it for the whole November. This is our Thanksgiving time. We're going to meet and I'm going to work with the dignity part, the self-love, the self-respect. We're going to heal the money channel. We're going to activate your queen archetype. We're going to activate the abundance archetype, not archetype, but the abundance channel in your queen archetype. And I'm going to then teach you how to walk, talk, and move as the queen of love, the seductress. It's the secrets I've learned from the art of Geisha, is how to be not just graceful, but also seductive, because you need this to activate your husband. Or attract your husband, or to keep the relationship juicy and exciting, for years to come. Because my queen has always desired to experience a legendary love affair that lasts forever with my king. And now I am living my dream. And I feel that I am qualified to be the role model and to lead this online retreat, where finally the women that were coming so far, thirsty for this knowledge, can now get it all over the world in the comfort of their home. And you can study this over and over again. Once you enter our school, the programs that you purchased stay with you until you violate the rules in our school, and then you can be expelled because it is a private school. But if you are loving and respectful and honoring to your teacher, to the community, I am creating the Queens Club, and I'm hoping a few years from now there will be hundreds and thousands of the queens all over the world that will be making a difference in the world through love, through abundance, through dignity, through evolution, making this world a better place, a place of love and abundance and fun, juice, sexuality. Okay, this is what I wanted to share with you. So if you're new to this school, please go right now to our website, yanagood.com, and buy this retreat as soon as possible, because you are getting the Queen Retreat and the Sexual Goddess Retreat for the price of 1. next year the price is going to go up. If you also purchase the Wholeness Retreat this year together with the Queen Retreat, because in the Wholeness Retreat we're going deep into healing the victim archetype. So I think together these two retreats it's such a powerful package for your self-evolution and development into self-love and love in your relationship. So I invite you to complete this 2024 year with such a gift for yourself. So let this be your New Year's gift for your queen. Buy the retreats, and then as a gift, I'm giving you a 1 year of support in our love temple. So you get the Queen Retreat, the Sexual Goddess Retreat for one price. I don't want to say the prices because you're going to watching this video years from now and the prices are going to raise. Go to the website and take a look at the special offers we have. You get the Wholeness Retreat. So in total right now you're getting, okay, I'm going to tell the price. It's going to be $3,000 for the Queen and $1,000 for the Wholeness. So for $4,000 you're getting 3 retreats: Wholeness, Sexual Goddess, Queen, Hope, one package, the Sacred Trio for $4,000. And I'm gifting to you $1,000 1 year of support. It's called the Temple of Love. So this way, you start studying right now in October. In November, we're going to go together and work on the Queen Retreat. And then December, we're studying the Love Temple. So you will have this continuing support for 8 more months to come. So basically, you're getting $2,000 worth of gifts, because everyone who is new to our school and doesn't have my previous programs, the womb healing, the 7 magnificent meditations, the 4 elements, those are $500 programs that I created to actually open up and heal the feminine channel, the channel of the womb and sexuality. I will gift you one of those programs if you don't have it. So you'll get another $500 gift. So, and the private consultation, I'm really hesitant here because I will probably delete that from the offers. But maybe only those that buy before the October 20th, before my birthday, I will also give a private session with me as my gift in the bundle. So it's called the Queen Special Offer. So please don't wait. Go now, purchase it for yourself, and ask everybody to gift you for the new year the support. And whatever gifts you will be receiving, ask them to give you in money, because you want to gift yourself this. You want to enter the 2025 as the queen and as a sexual goddess, and you want to heal the inner victim inside. I think this is time, isn't it? Are you ready? Are you truly ready to say goodbye to the old era of past suffering for the women, and in that deep pain of rejection inside of you, and open yourself up to true generosity and true self-love, whether you want to be in a relationship or not, whether you are in a relationship or not. I'm inviting you to do this for yourself, for your evolution as a woman into queenhood. The queen archetype is the higher level archetype, is a new game. So, okay. I hope that you put your likes under this video. I hope that you put on pause and write what you think. And if you're ready to go for the Queen Retreat, go for it right now. Tell me underneath, I'm ready, I'm going, thank you. Please connect with me. Connect to this channel. because I'm planning to give you so many more videos and share with you so much wisdom. I'm inviting you to share your love and appreciation and your suggestions and your feelings and your triggers. Connect with me underneath here. So we move forward together. Okay, so now if you're ready, I would like to share with you a couple of more incredible legendary queens examples. Are you ready? Let's go. Okay, have you seen this movie that recently came out? It's called The Serpent Queen. What a powerful movie. If you haven't seen, I highly recommend. So basically here we again have here the two queens. The Queen of Heart, the Queen of King's Heart, Diana de Poitiers, this legendary woman who was twice the age of the king and who stayed his lover into her 80s until he died and continued to live an extraordinary lavish life even after his death, and influencing the people of culture, of art, of beauty, architecture, and so forth. So, such a powerful, charismatic personality that people wanted to study her phenomenon. It's like she lost her youth and she still stayed the Queen of King's Heart. And now let's take a look at her opposite, the Catherine de Medici, and the fate of this girl, poor, orphaned, rejected and abandoned by her family, basically, who died. Um, at 14 years old, she was married, a child, basically. And through her fate, we're watching how even at that age, how badly women were treated. How really the pornography of the nowadays, I'm going to talk about the modern women, what's happening right now in America, the whole um, scandal with all these parties at, I think his name is P. Diddy, and all the pornography that is coming up, all the child pornography abuse and all of that at Epstein's Isle, and I may be pronouncing incorrectly their names, forgive me for that. I have left America about in 2016. I've been living in Bali, so my English is rough. But when you look at those two queens, this innocent little girl coming, hungry, scared, wanting, who fell in love with the king, and wanting to be the great wife, and she does bear 10 children for him, and so forth. But she becomes the queen of the hurt heart. She doesn't receive the love from her husband. She doesn't receive the love from her children. She is left to manipulate, lie in order to survive, and use black magic in order to survive. And so both women were highly manipulative, both the queen lover and the queen wife. And I don't believe any one of them was truly happy and satisfied, because the king that they got was very weak. Why was the king weak? Because he did not have the love of the mother. Basically, Diana de Poitiers was his mother lover. It's like an incest. She seduced him as a 14 or 15-year-old boy. She became the mother and the lover figure for him. And she basically received him fully into her womb, into her heart, into her life, and made him her project. It was her dream to become the wife. She wanted everything to divorce him from his wife, and she plotted against this little girl and gave her bad advice, and asked her to be aggressive in bed. And so the girl trusted and listened to her. And on the first night, which is like the pornography show for the people at court, they had to first imagine a 14-year-old girl They had to bend her over and for the doctor to check if she is whole, meaning she is a virgin or not. And he would say she is whole. And then they had to make their first night, the consummate, in front of everybody sitting, like let the theater begin. I'm like, wow, child pornography of that started at that time legally. And so Diana, who was so Catherine, who was Catherine de Medici, that was so in love with the boy, and she listens to the older Diana. She didn't know that she was the lover, and she was plotting against her. She gets on top of the king and basically takes the masculine position, and in that way, she emasculates him. I think is the word, but he's embarrassed. And now he cannot stand her anymore as a woman. She already messes up the roles instead of alluring and attracting him. But how could she do it? She was a 14-year-old scared girl taught by nuns, that it's a sin to be, a woman. I mean, that whole past that we women went through, it's like ridiculous. There is no like easy way, but for survival, women did everything. It's a difficult path we went through as women, and that's why for me, once I fully discovered the the art of the feminine enchantment, the art of sexual potency, power, and tantra. And then I healed the victimhood inside. And I was able to build a sacred union based on love and honor and respect with my husband. And after 6.5 years together, I feel that I can share the true path for women. And I want to raise and build the queens of love without manipulation, without lying, without cheating, without stealing the women of other men, but opening up their own sexuality, their own queenhood of pleasure, so they know how to attract the man, keep him happy, make him happy, and create true happiness for themselves. So, an art of building a relationship, it's a separate subject. But first, let us become activated in our Queen of Love archetype and activate the art of sexual goddess first. So, a couple of more stories I want to share with you. Okay, there is another really powerful story that inspired me. This movie I watched before I came to Bali. It's called Magnificent Century. And if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend. It's magnificent. This Turkish-made movie, but with good English translation. And basically, this is another story of a slave girl, a Russian virgin, Roxolana, also 14, 15, brought into the harem, Turkish harem, and sold to be basically, a slave for love. What is the harem? They are, slaves, sexual slaves, basically for the sultan. And she was able to learn the arts, to learn the language, understand the mentality, understand what drives the sultan. To survive, she actually became a queen in her own heart first, and she broke the history. From a slave, she became freed, and then she became the sultan's wife. And then she abolished the whole harem. I mean, the success story of this woman is legendary, what she was able to accomplish. And she gave birth to 5 children. But at the end, we also see that as soon as the woman steps on the path of the masculinity and lets the fire burn her up, she burns up the love, even a true love that she was able to ignite, nurture, and build in the heart of this incredible emperor. Changed the rules in the whole empire, reached incredible heights, and yet she also burned her love in her ambitions and her masculinity because she did not have a teacher. The problem for women is they don't have a school of love. They don't have a place where it's not a whore and a prostitute teaching them the art of sexuality. When you go through my sexual goddess retreat, you will be drinking from a pure water. When women work with me, they sense and they share with me that they connect not to just wisdom of the feminine arts, but they are connecting to the purity, the divine soulfulness, the archetype of the feminine divine, because that's what I worship. In my altar of life, in my altar of love, I am worshiping the divine feminine. But to be able to rise high, to connect to my higher self as a woman, not as a spirit in my masculine ways as I did before in my spiritual journey, I needed to connect to the Mother Earth, connect to the full nature, full darkness, full chaotic, destructive force that a woman is. And being able to learn how to structure the elements, how to harvest that power and raise it chakra by chakra inside of me so that I can open my heart, I can nourish my man, and I can also lift it higher to the heavens above. To when I am praying at night to my higher self in deepest gratitude to God, the divine, I thank for each day of living as a woman. Yeah, there is much more I want to share with you, but I think it's enough. We're complete. I thank you for your likes. I thank you for your comments. And I welcome you into our School of Love, into this incredible online retreats, Wholeness and Queen, and welcoming you into our Temple of Love as a continual support and educational space for you. Go to our website, yanagood.com, and take a look at the special offers. And don't wait. Join us now and enter into 2025 as most empowered. And if you're watching this in 2025 and 2026 and 2027, just change the numbers. It doesn't matter, but welcome into this portal of divine feminine love. With love, magic, and abundance. Yana Good.
So